Good morning. Good morning, students, and welcome to the today's class of DAA lab. Here in today's class, we will try to understand the program 3B according to our lab syllabus. The teachers are P. Paniramaprasad, Mr. Azharbaig, Swati, and Mr. Sri Sailnath. Right. Next slide. Program 3B. Write a Java program that implements a multi-threaded application that has three threads. First one, the first thread generates a random integer for every 1 second. Second thread computes the square of a number and prints. The third thread will print the value of the cube of the number. This is the program. Next slide. We will try to understand what is the program given is. So in this program, there are three threads will be used here. The first thread is used to generate some random number will be generated. The same number will be passed to second thread, which generates the square of the number. Next, when the same random number is passed to the third thread, which generates the cube of the number. So here three threads should be used here. So this is a program based on the multi-thread programming concept. Next slide. Java threads. We'll try to understand what is Java threads and then we'll move into the program. Multi-threading is a conceptual programming concept where a program or a process is divided into two or more subprograms which can be implemented at the same time in parallel. A multi-threaded program consists of two or more parts that can run concurrently. Each part of such a program is called as a thread, and each thread defines a separate path of execution. Basically, threads are used to reduce the complexity of the program, and parallelly you can able to perform the task using the multiple threads here. You can use two threads, three threads depending upon our program. Multiple threads can be used. So all the threads are will be run parallelly so that the execution time of the program can be reduced. Next slide. Benefits of multi-threading enables programmers to do multiple things at one time. Programmers can divide a long program into threads and execute them in parallel, which eventually increases the speed of the program execution. Next, third point, improved performance and the concurrency. Next, fourth point, simultaneous access to multiple applications. Next slide. Consider the life cycle of a thread, which consists of different states will be available here. The first state is called as a newborn state when the thread is born, I can call it, which doesn't have any task. Next, from newborn state, it can be moved to the start. It can be moved to the next state called as active thread state. In the active thread state, some task will be assigned here, and here the thread will be in the running state. The thread will be active, you can call it. Right? This is second state. From active state, the thread can be moved to the blocked state if the thread is suspended. Right? In the blocked state, thread will be in the ideal state, not a runnable state, you can call it. From the blocked state, the thread can be moved back to the active state, or it can go to the dead state where you can say that the thread is dead or it is stopped, you can call it, where the thread cannot be further used. That is called as dead state, you can call it. So here you can observe that from the dead state is a state that is indicate that where thread is not active or it is dead and cannot be used further. The dead state can be reached from newborn state to dead state, or from active thread to dead state, or from blocked state to the dead state where the thread is going to be killed, I can call it. So here these are different events you can able to understand here: start, stop, resume, notify, suspend, sleep, wait. These are the different events. Because of events, the thread will change its state. So this is the life cycle of the thread. Next slide, please. So the definition wise I can understand here. What is meaning of a newborn state? When thread object is created, a new thread is born. It is going to be called as the newborn state. Next, second one, runnable state means when the thread is assigned with some task and thread will be in the execution state or the running state, which is called as the runnable state. Next slide, please. Running state, it means that the process has given its time to thread for execution. A thread keeps running until the following condition occur. From the running state, thread can be moved to the suspended state, or it can go to the sleeping state. Then from this state, it can able to wake up again by it will be in the by waiting by using the wait function or resume function or notify function. It can be used to again bring back the thread to the active state from the suspend state or from the sleep state. Next slide, please. Block state, if a thread is prevented from entering into a runnable state, it is going to be in the blocked state, it is called. Next, last one, dead state. A runnable thread enters the dead state or terminate when it completes its task, or otherwise you terminate the complete thread. This is the 5 states the thread will be available. Next slide, please. Creating a thread. Java defines the 2 methods by which you can able to create the thread. First one is by using the runnable interface, by implementing the runnable interface. Second one is by using the thread class, by extending the existing class with the thread class. So to create thread by using extends the thread class, that is one method. Next, implements the runnable interface, that is the second type. By using in both the methods, run is a method we will go to use, which indicates the task which is going to be assigned to the thread after the thread is created. Next slide, please. In this example, can you able understand the thread class can extend my thread. So my thread is my user defined class which extends the thread class to create the thread. That is one thing. Next, my task is a class, or it may be a function which can implement the runnable interface. So here the runnable is interface. That interface is going to be implemented by my task. This is also it is going to create the thread. So these are the 2 different ways a thread can be created. Next slide. Example to create a thread using the runnable interface. For example, you can assume that there is a class T1 is there which implements the runnable interface. So next, inside the class we will go to use the run function. This run function is going to display thread is running. That is the state of the thread. Next, you can write the main function to run the thread. That is public static void main, which can accept the string arguments. Next, the class T1, one object obj1 is going to be created. T1 obj1 is equal to new T1 function constructor which creates the object 1 obj1. Next, for thread class, T is an object we will going to use here, and it creates the new thread object of obj1. Now obj1 is called as the thread object, you can call it. Next, T dot start, which indicates starting of the thread. So when you use T dot start, the thread is going to start, and the control will be moved to the run function. The run function is going to be executed until it completes the operation. So this is a simple example to create the thread using the runnable interface. Next slide. Example to create thread by extending the thread class. For example, our class is class T2 which extends the thread class. Thread is a class here. Thread can be considered as a base class. Next, inside the class, the public void run function will be used, and run function displays the thread is running message. Next, we will go to use the main function public static void main string arguments. The object T2 will be going to be created here. The T2 class creates the object 1 obj1 is equal to new T2 object will be created. Next, using the object object 1 dot start. We can able to start the thread. That is, start function is used to start the thread. Once it is used, the control will be transferred to the run function, and run function is going to be executed. It is called as, now the thread is running, it is called. Next slide please. We will move on to the program. That is program 3b. What is the aim of the program? To write a program to implement the multi-threading application with 3 threads. Next, description of the program. The program creates 3 classes extending the thread class. The first thread generates a random integer for every second. The second thread computes the square of a number and display. The third thread will print the value of the cube of the same number. Next slide please. Algorithm. The algorithm can be understood as 3 different methods. Method 1, method 2, method 3. First one, run method 1, that is thread 1. Step 1, generate the random integer for every second. So a rand function will be used. That will be stored into some variable a. And next, write the random number. It will display the random number. Next, run method 2, thread 2 it is. Step 1, compute the square of a. Some variable b will be considered. B is equal to a into a. Next, step 2, write the square of a in b. The square of a and b, that is, write the value of b. Next slide please. Next, run method 3, that is third thread. Compute the cube of a. C is equal to a into a. Write the cube value of c. Write c displays the cube value of c. So this is the end of the algorithm. Next we move on to the program. So when you go to the program, we will go to import the utility class java.utility.star. Means all the classes used in the utility package will be used here. Next, we will go to create a class called square, which implements the runnable interface. So this thread is used to print the square of a number. Inside the class, one integer variable x will be used here, and a function called square we are going to use here. To the square function, input x is parameter passed. Next, inside the function, we are using this dot x is equal to x. So what is the meaning of this dot x? Means it is called as the current object or currently running object. That is, this dot x stores the x value into the current object value of x. Next, we will go to use the run function will be used here. The run function displays one message. New thread of x is equal to square of x. The square of x value will be x into x, which gives the square value. The run function calculates the square value of x and then displays the value of x. Next slide please. This is the end of the square class. Next, coming to the class called as a cube. Class cube, which implements the runnable interface. This thread is used to print the cube of a number. Here also declare one variable called x, int of integer type. Use the constructor called as a cube, which accepts the x and then stores the x into this dot x. Current object value of x is equal to x. This dot x indicates the current object. Next, coming to the function run. The run function displays the value new thread is equal to x value, the cube of x, where cube of x can be calculated as x into x into x. The run method displays the cube of the value, end of the run function and end of the cube class. Right? Next slide. Right? So we'll go to use class A, we'll go to use it, which extends the thread. So in this class also we will go to use one run function. We will go to use this function, which is going to generate a thread, and in this thread or the random function using the random function, one random number will be generated. Okay. So coming to the run function, in the inside run function, number is a variable is usual. Its initial value is 0. Next, random class we are using here. Random R is the object of the random class is equal to new random. So R is one random object is created here. Next, we will go to use the exception handling mechanism. Try and catch block will be used here. Inside the try block, we will go and write on for loop for I is equal to integer type, I is equal to 0, I less than 5, I plus plus. 5 times it is going to repeat. Next, inside the for loop, number is equal to r dot next integer of 20. So what is the meaning of this one? Means r is a random object which gets the random value of integer within the range from 1 to 20. R dot next int means integer value in the range from 0 to 20 get the some integer value and store the value into num. So num contains the random value. Next we will go to display the message. The main thread and generated number is now what is the number generated will be displayed here. Okay. Next, after displaying the random number, next we will go to create a thread object. Thread T1 is equal to new thread, new square of number. Means T1 is one object created to handle the square thread. Square is one thread is created to handle the T1 object is created. Next, T1 dot start means it is going to start the thread called as square which calculates square of a number. Next, thread dot sleep of 1000 means now after that the main thread which is going to sleep mode for 1 second time. 1000 means 1000 milliseconds. So that now the main thread will be in the sleep mode for 1 second of time. During that the thread called square will be executed. Next slide please. Next, one more thread 2 is going to be created. That is thread T2 is equal to new thread, new cube of number. Means the thread 2 is created to execute the another thread called as a cube of a number. Right? So it is going to handle the cube of a number. Next line we are using T2 dot start means we will go to start the cube thread where for the given number the cube of a number is going to be calculated. Next again we are using thread dot sleep of 100 of 1000 sorry 1000 euros which indicates that the main thread will be in the sleep mode for 1000 milliseconds or 1 second time it will be in the sleep mode. Then during that period the cube thread will be executed and it will go to display the cube of a number will be displayed. Next one we will go to display the end of the message. Then we can able to close the for loop and we can able to close the try block. After try block we will go to use on catch exception will be used here, catch exception ex, and we can able to display the exceptional message as system.out.println ex.get message. In case of any exception is there you can able to display it with help of exception ex dot get message. The corresponding message will be displayed. So here we are going the catch exception will be closed. You can able to close the main function and you can also able to close the end of the class. So this is the end of the program. Next slide please. Main program. So in the main program class name is multi-thread demo it is called. In that we will going to use the main function we will going to use a public static void main string argument it is going to accept. So the class name a we will going to start here. A is equal to a is a small capital letter A is a class name, small letter A is one object is equal to new A. Small letter A indicates one object. A dot start means it is going to start the main thread. What is main thread means? That is random number generation. That is the first thread it is going to start. Once you start the random number generation function, then we can able to start another thread called to print the square of a number. Then after that we able to start one more thread to print the cube of a number. So this is the main function the driver program for the above classes. This is end of the program. Next slide please. Consider the output what is going to be displayed. Right? So on the output the main thread and generated number, suppose if it is 7 is there. Next new thread 7 square of 7 is 49. New thread 7 cube of 7 is 343. It means 7 is a random number. When it is sent to the thread square it prints the square of 7 is 49. If same number is sent to the thread called cube it prints 343. One more output also you can observe here. So main thread and the generated number is 4. The random number is 4 is there. The new thread 4 square of 4 is 16. and new thread 4 cube of 4 is 64. This is the output generated. Because we are using the for loop for 5 times, it repeats the output for 5 times. It is going to display. Next line. So next output you can able to display. Next time if I assume that the output generated is the random number is 8 is there, it prints square and cube value. Next the random number is 2 is generated, it displays its square corresponding square and cube value. Next number generated is 14 is there, it displays the corresponding square and the cube value. This is the total output generated by the program. It generates 5 outputs because for loop is used for to repeat for 5 times. Okay. Next slide please. Any queries is there about this program, please put in the comment section and we can have the discussion. Thank you students. Thank you.